Welcome to AK Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of Soul Land 3, Legend of the Dragon King Part 225. Without any delay, start explanation. Besides the original 6 demons, there was one more. This old demon had unusual features with small eyes, a big nose, a huge mouth with an especially long jaw, and a slight hunch. However, the rest of the 6 old demons stood below him naturally just as he turned up. "Big brother, why has the life tide appeared all of a sudden?" Old Demon Blight anxiously asked this newly arrived old man. The elder shook his head with a frown on his face. "I don't understand either. I've been suppressing the destruction energy all along. Usually, the energy abruptly weakens just before the coming of the life tide, but this time it feels different. Under normal circumstances, I can feel the life tide a decade prior to it emerging. It will build up gradually until it finally bursts out. On the other hand, there was utterly no indication for this life tide. Release the few young fellows so they can receive the life tide's baptism. They are very fortunate. It's a lucky chance for them to make it in time for the life tide. I'll go." Old Demon Blight hastily spoke. "Wait. Look at the life tide's direction," the fat elder suddenly interjected. "It's from his side." Old Demon Blight immediately realized as well. "What's going on?" the leading old man asked in a deep voice. Old Demon Lust spoke. "It's Tang Wulin. It has already been over 3 months since he entered deep meditation. It doesn't seem like the life tide's energy is coming out from the destruction fragment surroundings but from the point he is meditating. It's so strange. Could it be that his meditation triggered the life tide? How is that possible?" Old Demon Lode's face was filled with disbelief. The numerous old demons stood gazing at one another as they could not help feeling shocked. It had already been over a millennium since they had arrived at this place. They had figured out the natural surroundings and routines of the entire demon island on their own. Nevertheless, every time a situation occurred without following a regular pattern, this signified that there was more to understand about the island. Even though they all existed in the form of energy, the ability to learn everything about the area was the most important task for them as the guardians of the island. "Go over and take a look." The lead elder waved his huge hand as radiance flashed over the 7 old demons' bodies. In the next moment, they had all vanished. Tang Wulin was completely unaware of what was going on outside. He could only feel as the life force around him grew thicker and swaddled him like a cocoon. It was an extremely wonderful feeling. It was obvious that he had already lost the ability to breathe, yet it was soothing like nothing he had felt before. He could not see that a soul ring had slowly started to glow on the surface of his body. It was not the blue silver emperor soul ring nor the golden dragon king bloodline's golden soul ring, but it was actually that green gold soul ring. The green gold soul ring shimmered with an otherworldly radiance. When he first obtained this soul ring, no matter how much he infused his soul power into the soul ring, it would be engulfed into nothingness. He had only managed to launch it once for a short period of time with Atlas Dolor's assistance. Tang Wulin named the soul skill brought by this soul ring, Nature's Child. At that moment, his 5th soul ring shone more brilliantly than ever while exuding a thick vitality that complemented the life tide that had enveloped him. The demon island began to tremor ever so slightly during the coming of the life tide. In the distance, all sorts of sea soul beasts had gathered and swam around Demon Island. More and more sea soul beasts rushed over and joined the formation to enjoy the benefits of the dense life essence. Tang Wulin's consciousness was gradually immersed in life source. He was surprised to see scenes playing out like mirages in the depths of his mind. He saw a colorful ball of light that was shimmering with a strange radiance and halos glowing about it. Every time the light flickered, he felt his spiritual state fluctuate. The ball of light gradually grew until it was several times its original size. The orb turned translucent as if its surface was becoming thinner. Tang Wulin could clearly see that there were wispy clouds, rivers, and mountains within the radiant orb. It was very peculiar. A powerful gust of grey wind blew in from the distance at that exact moment. The wind was so strong that it blotted out the sky and covered the earth. Everything within his field of vision was all blanketed by the wind, including the ball of light. The glowing sphere began to flicker rapidly. Every time it did so, its energy would shake violently as fine cracks began to form. It seemed like the ball of light was about to shatter after being engulfed by the wind. However, something odd suddenly happened upon the orb's surface. Two shadows, one green and the other purple, manifested and fused together, forming a peculiar halo. This white halo covered the entire ball, while the cracks healed and the ball shrank once again. Everything on its inside gradually blurred, but it did not break. The terrifying wind rolled on as it rattled the colorful ball of light, shaking it continuously. The ball merged with the gray wind before it blew into the distance. For some reason, sorrow arose from the deep within of Tang Wulin's heart at this point. At that point, what he wanted most was to let out a scream and grab the ball of light. In a blink, he saw 3 speckles of light just out of the corner of his eye. 2 of them were purple and green, only that these 2 light speckles were much weaker when compared to the purple and green lights that guarded the ball of light earlier. The light speckles collided into each other and gradually became clearer to young Wulin's eyes. They were 2 figures, but they resembled phantoms. He could vaguely tell that the purple figure seemed to be a man, while the green one was a woman. They were attempting to hold onto each other, but they failed to do so. Finally, the purple figure disintegrated during the next collision and transformed into countless bits of purple fragments that scattered everywhere. The other green figure seemed to scream out in sorrow as she disintegrated as well. Sparks of green radiance shot out and found those purple fragments and transformed into rings of green energy that entwined like vines around the purple fragments before flying away. A third spark turned clearer at this time as well. It was a ball of golden light. Tang Wulin felt his heartbeat quicken as it filled with intense anguish and grief when he witnessed the scene unfold. That golden radiance swiftly enlarged before him. In the next moment, the entire scene vanished completely. Tang Wulin's body was trembling, and he was quite shaken mentally. It took him a long while to get back to his normal self. He lost count of how long it had taken for him to recover. Life and destruction. This was precisely what life and destruction felt like. The purple seemed to represent destruction while green represented life, so what was the golden radiance representing? What was the ball of light being protected by destruction and creation? Even though it had only been a short period of time, it felt like a century had passed for Tang Wulin. He could clearly feel that something had been added to his mind, yet he could not manage to grasp it and figure out what had actually happened. He exhaled and slowly opened his eyes. It was only then that Tang Wulin was astonished to see that glowing halos of green and purple had surrounded his body and were slowly dissipating. His body remained unaltered, and he did not feel any different. However, there was a wonderful feeling in his heart. He focused his attention and discovered that there was something else added to the middle of his recently formed soul power vortex. There were 2 tiny spots of light, one green, and the other purple. They were revolving around each other, slowly spinning. Tang Wulin tried to sense what they were, but his spirit became confused the instant his consciousness approached the green and purple specks. He could not perceive anything clearly. His perception soon recovered, and he could still see those 2 light spots. Was this brought by life and destruction? Then, why had they entered his body? Was it not crowded enough with the Golden Dragon King bloodline and the mysterious Heaven Method soul power already in there? More importantly, Tang Wulin could not confirm if the addition of this energy to his body was a boon or a bane. Speechless, Tang Wulin shook his head slightly, then he opened his eyes once again. Oh! All of you, he was startled this time, because 7 pairs of eyes were glaring at him in bewilderment from all around, staring attentively. Other than the 6 old demons he was acquainted with, there was also one more standing right in front of him now. The life tide and the destruction tide appeared simultaneously, and it was you that triggered it. Tell me at once, what did you actually do? The old man asked anxiously. Tang Wulin was thoroughly confused when he said, I didn't do anything. I was only meditating. I don't know what happened either. He was genuinely unaware of the events. He did not even plan to inform them about what he had seen earlier either. Tell us about the process, old demon Blight spoke. Tang Wulin's lips cracked into a cold smile. Release me and my companions, and then maybe I'll consider telling you a little. The old demons were stunned for a moment. The fat elder spoke in a rage. "Brat, have you lost your mind? Do you not know how to respect your seniors?" Tang Wulin chuckled. "Respect my seniors? Correct me if I'm wrong, but you must be Old Demon Sloth, right?" The group of old demons was taken aback by his words. The looks on their faces as they stared at Tang Wulin changed as well. Old Demon Sloth spoke incredulously. "How did you know?" Tang Wulin smiled triumphantly. "I made a guess." "It seems like my guess is correct, huh?" Tang Wulin spoke. "How can I not figure things out after I was under your influence for so many days? Please allow me to explain it for all of you. Ever since I was tormented in the beginning, especially by old demon lust, I should have already passed the worst hardships. You told me before that all of you had once been the Shrek 7 monsters. I didn't completely believe it, but I did take note of the number. 7 monsters, so, of course, there must be 7 people. 5 had already turned into old demons, so the other 2 should be no exception." Tang Wulin continued to speak as he stared at the fat old man. "5 old demons tormented us, while you're the 6th to appear. There's no doubt that you're an old demon too, yet you refuse to reveal your title. Naturally, I had some suspicions. On the other hand, your story was logical, so I judged that the whole thing must have been true. You were all genuinely testing us while cultivating us at the same time. My guess was confirmed in the following months when all of you began to teach me so many new things, and I genuinely learned a lot. However, I never let my guard down. The first 5 old demons were joyously testing us with torture. Could it be that the 6th demon would go easy on us? I couldn't confirm everything before I meditated. After all, you were each so good to me during those few months that I no longer felt hostile anymore. It wasn't until just now when I opened my eyes and saw all 7 of you, 7 old demons, that I abandoned all doubts that my guess was correct. There are genuinely 7 of you. Given that, there had to be a reason for everything that old demon Sloth was doing before. The reason was that all of you were trying to numb me. The knowledge passed down to me was real, the story was real, so the only question was your identity. You old demon Sloth, and everything that all of you were doing before was to make me complacent. In the end, when I finished learning and had gotten used to being lethargic, I would be completely at ease and, naturally, I'd be less vigilant. With that in mind, all of you provided me with the most comfortable living environment, the best food and an excuse to wait for my companions. All of this were meant to make me lazy. Perhaps all of you are hoping to see if I can still maintain my focus and continue to cultivate persistently under such circumstances. Am I right, senior old demon Sloth? The group of old demons' expressions were rather peculiar as they listened to Tang Wulin's detailed analysis. Of course, old demon Sloth's expression was the most unpleasant of all. "That's impossible. I had already sensed that your spirit was completely relaxed at the time, so was your entire person. Even the most diligent person can't stay focused after a year of torment and learning," old demon Sloth said in exasperation. Tang Wulin shrugged. "You're right. I was genuinely relaxed at the time, because, I'm afraid, my spirit couldn't handle much more if I didn't let off some steam. However, I wasn't worried about becoming lazy no matter how easy I was taking it. That's because in my heart, there's always something guiding me so that I dare not slacken." Old demon Sloth was stunned. "What's that?" Tang Wulin looked toward old demon Lust. "Senior Lust should know that. There's love in my heart. I must grow more powerful for the one I love, so I'll be able to protect her. Thus, I can rest but only because I want to cultivate even better. As a result, I began to meditate. It seems like my guess was pretty accurate judging by the situation now. Many thanks for all the cultivation you've given me throughout this time. I wonder how I am going to be tested by the final senior old demon." His gaze fell upon the old demon standing before him, which he had never met before, with a faint smile on his face. The old man smiled as he clapped his hands gently for Tang Wulin. "Very good. The Academy made the right choice. A hero is nothing but a product of his time. Our Shrek produces great talents, as expected, right when the continent is about to go through some difficult moments. I'm highly gratified. I'm greed. You can call me Old Demon Greed. Old Demon Greed. There were 7 old demons as predicted. Moreover, these 7 demons were more or less related to the 7 deadly sins. So what are you going to test me on? Tang Wulin asked. Old Demon Greed smiled. There's no need for that anymore. You've passed. You have a positive attitude, vigilance and an intelligent mind. Everything else that follows is already meaningless to you. Your Demon Island special training has ended. Congratulations, your results put you at the top of the list. In the past 5 centuries, you're the most outstanding. Tang Wulin did not bother to ask about the person more outstanding than him 5 centuries ago. He became less tense after that. Old Demon Greed spoke in all apparent seriousness. However, we need you to tell us about the change in your body earlier that triggered the life and destruction tide simultaneously. We were baffled enough when the life tide began earlier, but it was utterly astonishing when the destruction tide appeared at the same time. The change can very possibly affect all the islands on Demon Archipelago. Thus, we need to know the truth. Tang Wulin sighed. I'm sorry, seniors. Thanks to all your positive training, I've learned not to trust anyone too soon. Because of this, I'm not sure if you're speaking the truth right now, so I can't tell you anything. Old Demon Greed was rendered speechless along with the entire group of old demons. They felt like they had lifted a rock only to drop it on their feet. Old Demon Blight spoke, so how can we convince you to tell us? Tang Wulin spoke, I'll tell you the moment my companions and I leave this place safely. Frankly, I don't know if I'm in a dream or reality now, because there have been too many experiences here that felt unreal. Old Demon Nightmare raised his brows. Not bad. You're actually capable of observing that. So, all right, you'll be awakened from your dream first. He waved his hand at Tang Wulin as he spoke. All of a sudden, dizziness overwhelmed Tang Wulin, and he watched as his surroundings changed rapidly. The house had vanished, and the comfortable environment disappeared. After recovering from the nausea, he discovered that he was on firm ground. He was standing right at the same place in the mountain valley where he had arrived at the beginning. He saw his companions nearby. Yi Xinglan, Yuan and Yehui, Shu Lishi, Yu Shenggu, Shu Xiaoyan and Xie Xie were all there, but they were each doing different actions. Some of them were leaping about while some of them were sitting cross-legged with different expressions on their faces. Are they immersed in an illusion? Tang Wulin asked in surprise. Old Demon Nightmare spoke, it can be real and it can be an illusion. What is reality and what isn't? Tang Wulin took a close look with his inner eye and immediately discovered that the soul power vortex in his body was still there with the 2 green and purple light spots. All that he had learned was deeply seared into his mind as well. The illusion was so dreadful that he had managed to live in it for over a year. Time in the illusion moves at 1/4 the speed of the outside world, thus you've only been here for just over 3 months, Old Demon Greed spoke. Your companions have yet to complete all the trials, so they'll still need more time. I should let you know that it's not good for them to end the training before they finish all the tests. They'll need to experience the full process and rebuild their mental state. For example, that brat over there. Old Demon Nightmare pointed to Yu Zhengyu. Tang Wulin immediately recalled Yu Zhengyu's tragic encounter. He looked at the 7 old demons surrounding him and felt like he could really trust them now. All right, I'll tell all of you. Firstly, I really don't know how the so-called life tide and destruction tide are triggered. During the end of my meditation, I felt that the life force surrounding my body suddenly became intense, and then I began to see a bizarre scene. Tang Wulin went on to relate what he had witnessed in the illusion. During the explanation, he hid the fact that after everything had happened, the 2 sparks of light had appeared in his soul power vortex. Deep down, he was still on his guard, so naturally, he would not be revealing all that took place. However, he described what he had seen in the hope that the old demons could help him analyze it. They understood life and destruction energy more than anybody else, so their analysis was undoubtedly the most dependable. The 7 old demons all frowned upon hearing Tang Wulin's description. They seemed to be pondering very deeply. There's no doubt that purple should be destruction while green represents life. In other words, it's highly possible that you saw the projections of the life goddess and the destruction god in your vision. On the other hand, there's only one place that they could be guarding, and that must be the divine realm. Perhaps, what you saw is precisely why we can't sense the divine realm anymore. This is truly of the utmost importance. I'll be recording your description in detail and sending it to the Sea God's Pavilion after you've returned for the Pavilion Master's perusal. Old Demon Greed spoke with all apparent seriousness. Sure. Tang Wulin nodded immediately. Old Demon Greed said, however, I still don't know why you are triggering these events. Did you feel anything else at the time? How about the golden spark of light? Tang Wulin answered, I don't know either. It was just when I saw that golden light spot, I felt as if I was experiencing emotional turmoil. It was a pang of sadness, as though I had encountered some heartbreaking event. It was a little like when my parents suddenly left years ago. Old Demon Greed nodded ever so slightly. This is unprecedented and also very difficult to analyze. All right, you should continue to meditate and see if you can enter that state once again. Sense the illusion while waiting for your companions here. However, you can't return to Nightmare's illusion once you're out, so just wait at this spot. Sure, Tang Wulin answered immediately. Then he looked toward Old Demon Devour. Is the scrumptious food of yours real? Do you still have some? No. I'm running out of food because of you, brat. Do you know how much you ate? The life force here is so thick, there's utterly no need to eat. Cultivate by yourself. Go. Old Demon Devour spoke with fury before he vanished into thin air. Tang Wulin turned and faced Old Demon Sloth. His countenance had remained unpleasant the whole time. He flung his sleeves once before he turned around and disappeared. Old Demon Lust chuckled. Sloth is badly rattled by the blow this time. Your companions are truly piteous. They'll certainly infuriate him. Greed, are you truly not planning to give him a test? You're the most incisive one amongst us. Old Demon Greed shook his head. There's no need for it anymore. Unless I can erase a part of his memories, it wouldn't be very effective. I doubt this young lad would be blinded by greed. Meanwhile, Tang Wulin thought to himself, my main vice is indeed greed. I've loved money ever since I was young. The old demons left in succession, leaving Tang Wulin by himself. His companions were still doing various things. At long last, Tang Wulin was relieved to find that his companions were safe and sound. He did not know what else he could do other than continuing his meditation. At the same time, he wished to learn the purpose of those purple and green sparks in his body. However, it was easier said than done. He did not manage to enter deep meditation anymore, and he could not sense the two sparks function despite repeated attempts. His soul power was cultivating normally, his soul power vortex was spinning as usual, but it was as if the green and purple sparks were completely unrelated to Tang Wulin. There was no way for the energy in his body to affect the two specks of light. 1 month in real time, which was equal to 4 months in Old Demon Nightmare's illusion, passed quickly. The remaining 6 of the Shrek 7 monsters all ended their nightmarish journeys in turn. The second person to end Old Demon Nightmare's illusion was Yi Xinglan, followed by Yuan and Yehui, Xie Xie and Xu Xiaoyan. Yu Jingyu was the last person. When his companions learned about Yu Jingyu's encounter through Tang Wulin's description, Xu Xiaoyan's face was blushing for a full 2 days, while the rest of them could not laugh about it either. They were still terrified. These old demons were truly too frightening. They had already achieved perfection with their test of humanity. Tang Wulin was feeling a little odd as he looked at his companions. Even though it had only been just over 4 months here, less than 2 years in the illusion, everyone seemed to have grown so much from the experience. There was no doubt that this would be the most unforgettable trip of their lives. Yu Jingyu finally woke up 7 days later. His body shuddered a little before his gaze turned crystal clear. The first person he saw was Xu Xiaoyan. Yu Jingyu's lips twitched as he sat onto the ground. Xiaoyan, I've let you down. Tears streamed down his face almost instantly. The group of people had strange looks on their faces. Xu Xiaoyan hastily dashed forward and hugged him. She patted his back gently. It's over. Everything is over now. You didn't do anything wrong, nothing. It took more than half an hour before Yu Jingyu gradually recovered. He could not help clenching his teeth in hatred when old demon lust was mentioned. All of you should leave. The 7 old demons appeared before everybody with a burst of shadow. Their expressions were all different and they each held a unique posture. Other than Tang Wulin, everybody else could not help feeling fearful upon seeing the entire group of them. Yes. Their ordeal here was truly horrifying, and they were tormented far too much. Old Demon Greed smiled. I trust that all of you will always remember everything you've felt over here. Congratulations, all 7 of you have officially graduated. You've managed to endure until the end, and that's no easy task. As the new generation of Shrek 7 monsters, all of you deserve the title. Now, you're about to carry out your final test. No one is sending you back. You must depend on your own strength. I should also remind all of you that the events that follow are no longer illusions. You'll need to face the North Sea Army Corps on your own. Of course, the aircraft you stole in the illusion earlier isn't fake either. At least I can confirm that the military officers in your illusion absolutely loathe all of you to their very bones. Alright, you're free to leave at any time. Yu Jingyu, Shu Lishi, Xie Xie, Yuan and Yehui, Yi Xinglan, Shu Xiaoyan were all relieved. Was it finally time to go? It had taken 2 whole years. They had had enough of this place. Tang Wulin looked at the group of old demons before him. For some reason, he saw loneliness in their eyes. Seniors, are all of you stuck on the demon island forever? Is there no other way for you to leave this place? Or is there any way that I can help you? Old Demon Greed shook his head while Old Demon Blight chuckled. I appreciate your kindness. Our existence is nothing but energy. Without the protection of the destruction and life energy, we'll end up as scattered souls immediately when we leave this place. Even though we're so lonely here, the circumstances allow us to have long lives. There are both pros and cons. In the future, if you're willing, you can come back and visit us. Of course, you can always return to relive your experiences here if that is what you desire. Captain, let's go quickly. Yu Jingyu pulled at Tang Wulin. The corners of Tang Wulin's lips twitched, then he suddenly shouted. Shrek 7 monsters, stand at attention. The remaining 6 immediate stood upright alongside him. Tang Wulin spoke solemnly, salute. Oh. Shenxing sat up from the bed, panting heavily. She had already lost count of how many times nightmares awakened her in the past few months. The dream felt so real. She was only performing her routine inspection at the fixed soul ammunition warehouse when she encountered a situation that was completely beyond her expectations. The man's face was crystal clear in her mind. He held her as a hostage to threaten her sister. She was brought up to the Skywing F-17, and in the end, that bastard ejected her straight out of the aircraft. The nightmare ended with the intense weightlessness one felt when falling from high altitude. Shenxing still clearly remembered that she lost control of her bladder the first time when she had awakened from this nightmare. That was truly unacceptable. The perpetrator was real. He was once detained by the Army Corps with his companions, and afterward, they escaped by actually hijacking an aircraft. Even so, these incidents were all completely unrelated to her. She did not have any contact with him at that point, so why was she having the nightmare? It was even stranger that her sister was having the same nightmare, identical to Shenxing's. Damn it, damn it! Get the hell out of my dreams! Feeling jittery, Shenxing gave her mattress 2 strong punches. She turned over and got dressed in her military uniform before walking over to the mirror. Dark circles had formed under eyes due to poor sleep. Her training during the day was already tough, so it had become a habit for her to sleep as soon as she had returned. These days, even sleep had become so arduous for her. She had no choice but to spend more time meditating. Shenxing made the decision to get some fresh air outside. She would meditate after she came back, and at least she would not be dreaming during meditation. If the bastard knew what was good for him, he would never come back from the demon island. If he did, she would certainly teach him a good lesson, in exchange for all the nightmares. Shenxing walked out of the dormitory as she strolled around the base aimlessly. Even though she did not have a high rank, but she had an extremely important inspectorate duty. The patrolling soldiers would immediately salute her when she passed by. The North Sea Army Corps was located near the ocean. The sea breeze made the night feel cool and refreshing, and Shenxing felt slightly less worried. Huh? How did I come here? She was surprised to find that she had walked all the way to the warehouse from her dreams without even noticing. It was the actual spot that was used to store fixed soul ammunitions. Shenxing frowned. Darn it. She turned around and was about to leave when she paused. It would be better to take a look. Perhaps it'll be a weight off my shoulders if I were to take a look at the location of my dream. Otherwise, it's truly agonizing not being able to distinguish between dream and reality. At that point, she walked into the warehouse of her own accord. She used her high-ranking access pass to use the elevator and quickly arrived underground. The soldiers on duty saluted her in succession upon seeing her. They gazed at her respectfully all the way to the warehouse. Staff Officer Shin, are you still inspecting at this time? The major in charge of warehouse management smiled as he asked her. Even though Shenxing was beautiful, he dared not have any improper thoughts, for she was the high-ranking regimental commander's sister. It was said that she would soon be recalled to headquarters for another assignment. I'm here to take a look. Shenxing nodded in all apparent seriousness. Sure. Come, open the door. Such an important warehouse used for fixed soul ammunition required 3 keys and a specific passcode to unlock the door. 2 lieutenants holding the keys were called upon by the major, in addition to the passcode and Shenxing's iris scan before the door slowly opened. A warehouse storing so much fixed soul ammunition naturally possessed an atmosphere that felt quite ominous. Although there was no hyper-strategic type fixed soul ammunitions here, but the value of the ones they had was enormous. It was one of the most important warehouses of the North Sea Army Corps. She walked into the warehouse and felt the familiarity of her dream arise spontaneously. Shenxing's feeling of familiarity with this place was especially intense because she had been dreaming about it every night. Shenxing looked at the ammunition, her surroundings absent-mindedly upon walking inside the warehouse. All of a sudden, she stopped in her tracks. There should be 4 rank, 5 fixed soul ammunitions here. Why are they missing? Show me the warehouse records. The spot where she stopped happened to be a shelf with a tidy arrangement of ammunition on it. However, there should have been an additional for fixed soul ammunitions, according to Shenxing's memories. She could clearly remember that the bastard who had held her hostage had once hidden here for a moment in her dreams. Thus, she had an especially vivid memory of this. However, she immediately regretted asking just before she had done so, seeing that it was just a dream. She was actually inquiring in real life about her nightmares. This was truly. Even so, there was no answer forthcoming. Shenxing turned around to look at the major in charge of the warehouse and saw shock flash past his eyes. How can she know that there should be 4 rank, 5 fixed soul ammunitions over here? This is impossible. It has been a few months since her last visit here. The classifications and ranks of fixed soul ammunitions followed extremely strict storage rules, so its positions could not be changed simply unless it was used for service. I'm talking to you. The highly intelligent Shenxing could immediately sense a problem. She spoke quickly while her voice was turning stern. The major immediately smiled apologetically and said, the ammunitions were used for service. Please wait for a moment for the warehouse records. I'll get them it now. Shenxing commanded, bring it to me stat. The major hastily nodded repeatedly. Please hold on. I'm going now. He turned around as he was speaking and exchanged glances with his 2 lieutenants. The 3 of them walked toward the outside in quick strides. Why is everyone leaving? One person will do, Shenxing shouted. Yes. The major stopped walking. When he turned around again, there was a flash of light. Shenxing shuddered as an intense numbness instantly spread through every part of her body. She slowly slumped down to the floor. Her eyes widened as she could not believe that the situation before her was really happening. A person capable of becoming a fixed-sole ammunition warehouse supervisor would have had to pass through strict vetting, but there was no doubt that something had gone wrong with this man and his two lieutenants. The major's expression turned slightly ferocious as he walked to Xinxing and pulled off the communicator on her chest. He did it so forcefully such that he tore off the top two buttons on Xinxing's military uniform. As the buttons hit the ground, the snowy white complexion of her chest was revealed, but her entire body was so numb that she could not even shout. The warehouse supervisor was breathing rapidly. Why do you have to remember so clearly? Even I can't possibly remember how many ammunitions there are on each shelf. Xinxing could not speak, but only glared at him with a fierce gaze. The warehouse supervisor spoke with a disappointed expression. I didn't wish for this to happen either. I know that it's a serious offense to resell fixed-sole ammunitions, but I had no choice. They took my family. My son is still in their hands. I'm completely helpless, and I have no other options. I'll definitely have to take you as well, seeing that you're the general's biological sister. I suspect that you'll surely be of great value to them, so it should be to my benefit. Help Staff Officer Shen to stand up. We must leave now. Thank God it's still night time. Notify our escape route to make the preparations. We depart immediately. This video will end here. Like video and subscribe to my channel.